But this particular penny, a 1993 Lincoln cent with no mint mark, would go on to shock the entire coin world. Because this tiny, everyday coin, the kind you'd find stuck between couch cushions, turned out to be worth close to $1 million. The it wasn't found in a collector's vault or some private auction. No, it was found in a man's change jar. And when experts saw what he had, they couldn't believe their eyes. You see, 1993 was supposed to be a completely ordinary year for pennies. Billions were minted, most in Philadelphia, and those have no mint mark, as usual. But among those billions, something happened at the mint that no one can fully explain. A rare batch of pennies slipped through the presses with microscopic differences that made them worth a fortune. The man who found one didn't even know he was holding history. He'd just come home from grabbing coffee. He emptied his change and noticed something odd. The color looked slightly different. The edges seemed sharper. The strike looked deeper, like the portrait of Lincoln almost leapt off the metal. At first, he brushed it off. But something told him to take a closer look, and that's when the story began to unravel. Under magnification, he noticed the tiniest details: sharper lettering, slightly misaligned dies, and a faint doubling around the date 1993. His heart raced. He'd heard rumors of no mint mark errors, but never believed it. Still, he decided to get it appraised. What happened next stunned the entire coin world. When the coin reached a professional grading service, the experts went silent. Then one of them said, almost under his breath, "This can't be real." The surfaces were pristine, the strike flawless, and the lack of any mint mark made it even more mysterious. After several tests, they confirmed this wasn't just any 1993 penny. It was a 1 in a billion minting anomaly that had somehow survived in perfect condition. Collectors were shocked. Dealers began whispering. And within days, rumors spread that a 1993 no mint mark Lincoln penny had sold for nearly $1 million. Think about that. 1 cent, the kind you'd ignore on the ground, suddenly worth more than most people's homes. Even now, experts believe there could be more of these out there. And that's what keeps collectors awake at night. Because if one coin like this slipped through the mint, others might have too. Hidden in piggy banks, in old coffee cans, or sitting unnoticed in someone's drawer right now. The more they studied it, the stranger the story became. The penny was struck on a high-quality copper planchet, not zinc like most 1993 coins. That alone was unusual, since copper had been phased out over a decade earlier. It was as if someone at the mint had used leftover materials from another era. A mistake? Maybe. Or a quiet experiment that was never meant to see the light of day. Either way, the result was the same: a once-in-a-lifetime treasure that slipped past inspectors and into circulation. He said he almost spent it. Imagine that. Almost handing $1 million penny to a cashier for a cup of coffee. But what happened next pushed the story from unbelievable to legendary. Once word got out, coin hunters everywhere began tearing through their change. Pawn shops, flea markets, even gas stations saw a surge in people checking their pennies. The excitement was contagious. Some laughed it off, but others, they knew there was truth to the story. And here's why this coin is so valuable: the combination of the missing mint mark, the deep strike, and the copper composition. These features don't belong together on a 1993 penny. And when a coin breaks the rules of its own era, collectors go wild. But there's another layer. The coin's perfect condition made it even rarer. No scratches, no wear, just a flawless surface that looked freshly struck. In the grading world, that kind of perfection is like lightning in a bottle. One expert described it best. This coin shouldn't exist, and yet, here it is. Now, here's where you come in. Because if one coin like this made it out, there could be others still waiting to be found. And the only way to know is to start checking your change, your old coin rolls, and every jar you've ignored for years. First, check the year, 1993. That's key. If there's no mint mark under the date, you might already be on the right track. Next, look at the color. Most 1993 pennies are duller because they're made of zinc with a thin copper coating. But the rare one has a richer, deeper tone, pure copper through and through. You'll feel the difference when you hold it. Then look at the details. The portrait of Lincoln should appear bold, clean, and deeply struck. The lettering will be razor sharp. The Liberty should stand tall, and the "In God We Trust" might even show a faint doubling, a sign of a rare die error. Flip it over and study the Lincoln Memorial. Every column, Every line should be crisp. If it looks unusually sharp or the spacing seems off, you might be staring at a fortune. But here's the warning. Thousands of people confuse worn coins for rare ones. So before you get too excited, always weigh it. The genuine copper version should weigh about 3.11 grams. The standard zinc version is lighter, around 2.5 grams. That difference could mean hundreds of thousands of dollars. Collectors are now offering staggering amounts for any verified specimens. Dealers have standing offers reaching hundreds of thousands, and if one in pristine condition surfaces again, it could easily cross the $1 million mark. One collector said, "I'd trade my entire collection for another one of those." That's how serious this coin has become. So, if you ever find a 1993 penny with no mint mark, don't dismiss it. Don't clean it. Don't spend it. Handle it carefully, store it safely, and get it authenticated. Because this is the kind of discovery that changes lives, and that's what makes this story so powerful. It's not just about money, it's about possibility. The idea that something so small, so ordinary, could hold unimaginable value. It's the ultimate symbol of hidden potential, that miracles don't just happen in treasure chests, they happen in change jars. This is why collectors keep searching. Because sometimes, the rarest treasures aren't buried in the ground, they're sitting right in front of us, waiting for someone with sharp eyes and a little hope to notice. The 1993 no mint mark Lincoln penny. 1 cent that rewrote history, stunned experts, and turned an ordinary man's luck into nearly $1 million. And who knows, maybe the next one will be found by you. But when one man picked it up, his life changed forever. It wasn't gold. It wasn't silver. It was a simple 2015 Lincoln penny, a coin so common, most people wouldn't glance twice. But what this man didn't know was that the tiny copper coin in his hand was worth more than a house, more than some people earn in a lifetime. When experts examined it, they were speechless. Because this 2015 penny wasn't just rare, it was $1 million miracle hiding in plain sight. Collectors everywhere are buzzing about this coin, whispering about how one small detail turned an everyday penny into a once-in-a-generation discovery. Dealers are paying huge sums just to get a glimpse of one. And the story behind it? That's where the mystery truly begins. It started in Denver, 2015, a standard minting year. Billions of Lincoln cents rolled off the presses, stamped with the familiar D mint mark below the date. Nothing unusual, at least that's what everyone thought. But somewhere in that endless river of copper-plated zinc, something went wrong. Or maybe something went right. Rumor has it that a small batch of pennies struck that year had a hidden flaw, a minting error so subtle, most people would never see it. A slight doubling in the word liberty. A faint but unmistakable shadow in Lincoln's eye. And for the few who spotted it, their patience paid off. Because those tiny imperfections turned ordinary pocket change into treasure. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. He laughed. But curiosity got the better of him. He took it to a local coin shop, and when the dealer examined it under magnification, he went pale. The doubling on the letters, the crisp die marks, and the perfectly preserved red shine all pointed to one thing. This was one of the rarest Lincoln pennies ever struck by the Denver Mint. Collectors were shocked. Coin forums exploded with debate. How could a modern penny be worth over $1 million? Surely, it was impossible. But as more experts confirmed the anomaly, the story spread like wildfire. Suddenly, everyone was checking their spare change, digging through jars, searching through old coin rolls from the bank, hoping to find that same glimmer of copper fortune. And here's where it gets even stranger. Some believe this specific coin was struck using a leftover die intended for proof strikes, the kind used for collector coins, not circulation. Others think the die cracked mid-run, creating unique strike marks before it was retired. Whatever the cause, these small differences turned this 2015 Lincoln penny into one of the most desirable coins of the modern era. In 2022, at a private auction, one of these rare 2015 pennies sold for an unbelievable sum, over $1.1 million. Collectors gasped. Dealers couldn't believe it. How could a penny, made just a decade ago, be worth that kind of money? It defied logic, defied history, and turned the entire coin market upside down. The buyer? A mysterious collector known only by initials. He said the coin represented a symbol of modern minting perfection born from imperfection. Since that day, the legend of the 2015 D penny has only grown. But here's the thing most people miss, that it's not just about the date or the mint mark. The real magic lies in the details. Those microscopic signs that tell you you're holding something extraordinary. Look closely at the D mint mark. Is it slightly tilted or doubled? Examine the lettering on "In God We Trust." Do the letters show ghost-like doubling? And pay attention to Lincoln's eye and his jacket collar. That's where the most distinct doubling appears on genuine million-dollar specimens. Point one man's pocket change became a life-changing miracle simply because he paid attention. But what happened next stunned even veteran collectors. After the story broke, counterfeiters tried flooding the market with fakes. They used heat treatments, polishing, even micro-engraving to mimic the errors. But professionals quickly learned how to spot the truth. Real 2015 D rare pennies show natural luster, perfectly even edges, and die markers that no counterfeit can truly replicate. Collectors began to realize something powerful. This wasn't just a coin. It was a reminder that even in the most ordinary places, extraordinary treasures can hide. It's proof that sometimes life-changing luck is no bigger than the palm of your hand. Imagine finding one of these in your drawer right now, maybe in an old jar on your dresser, or in that coffee can filled with loose change in your garage. Most people have no idea what they're sitting on. Dealers are still offering thousands just for examples in uncirculated condition, hoping one of them might be the next verified million-dollar specimen. And if you're wondering why the 2015 D penny stands apart from other Lincoln cents, it's because of the rare combination of its pristine strike, error features, and the mystery surrounding its creation. It's not just about value, it's about story. And the story of this coin has become legend. Collectors say the thrill of the hunt is what keeps them going. But in this case, the hunt could lead straight to $1 million. One man's curiosity led him to check every penny he came across, and it paid off beyond his wildest dreams. This tiny coin, minted in 2015, has become a symbol of hope for everyday people, because it proves that wealth doesn't always come from where you expect. Sometimes, it jingles quietly in your pocket until the right eyes notice. Experts believe there are still a few of these rare 2015 D pennies out there, undiscovered, hidden in circulation, buried in forgotten jars or change drawers. Every single day, someone unknowingly spends one, passes it across a counter, or tosses it into a tip jar without realizing what they've just given away. And that's what makes this story so haunting. Because right now, you could be holding one of the rarest modern pennies in existence and not even know it. The difference between a penny and a fortune could come down to a single glance, a single moment of awareness. The next time you get change at the store, look closer. Check that date, 2015. Then look for that D mint mark under the year. Examine the details, the lettering, Lincoln's profile, the mint mark. Every curve, every line could tell a story worth over $1 million. Dealers are still whispering about new finds. Online forums are alive with speculation. Some say only a handful of verified examples exist. Others believe a small batch was mistakenly released before being recalled. Whatever the truth, the fact remains. This 1-cent coin has shattered expectations that a penny, worth over $1 million. This story isn't just about money. It's about possibility. It's about the thrill of discovery, the magic of the unknown, and the reminder that even the smallest things can hold unimaginable value. Go ahead. Check your pockets. Look through those jars. Because somewhere, out there, another 2015 D Lincoln penny is waiting to be found. But when it was finally examined by a collector with a sharp eye, jaws dropped. It was a 1977 D Lincoln penny worth up to $1.2 million. Imagine that, a single penny, struck decades ago in Denver, changing someone's life forever. It's one of those stories that makes you look twice at every coin you touch. A coin so ordinary, yet holding a secret so rare that even experts didn't believe it at first. This isn't just another old penny. It's a hidden treasure, a fluke of history, and a reminder that sometimes the smallest things can hold the biggest surprises. Let's go back to 1977. The U.S. Mint in Denver was producing billions of Lincoln pennies. Copper coins, shining red, rolling off the presses by the truckload. But somewhere in that chaos, something went wrong. A tiny error, invisible to most eyes, created a handful of coins that would one day become legends. 1977, D. Lincoln penny looks nearly identical to every other coin from that year. But the difference lies in the details, the kind of details that can mean the difference between 1 cent and $1 million. One collector in Texas learned that lesson the hard way. He'd been hoarding pennies for years, thinking maybe one day they'd be worth a little something. Then one night, while cleaning out an old coffee can, he spotted a 1977 D that looked off. The color, the shine, the faint doubling on the date, it was different. He sent it for grading, not expecting much. But when the results came back, the news spread like wildfire. His humble coin had just been appraised at over $1 million. Here's where the mystery deepens. Most 1977 D. Lincoln pennies are struck on copper planchets, standard issue. But a rare few were struck using transitional or off-metal planchets from experimental batches. These are coins that somehow slipped past mint inspection. A mix of the wrong metal, a faint double die, or a die clash that created a ghostly image across Lincoln's face. All these mistakes turned simple pocket change into million-dollar history. Collectors were stunned. Dealers rushed to recheck their old stock. Online forums lit up with questions. Could this really be true? Could there still be undiscovered 1977 D errors hiding in circulation? The answer: absolutely yes. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The Texas collector's penny went to auction. Bidding started low, cautious. Then, one after another, collectors jumped in, driving the price higher, higher, and higher still. When the hammer finally dropped, the room went silent. The final bid? Over $1.2 million. 1 cent had just made history. That moment sparked a new wave of penny hunters across the country. People tore open old jars, checked dresser drawers, and emptied coin rolls from banks. Some found lightly worn examples worth hundreds. Others discovered odd planchets worth thousands. But the dream, the big dream, was that one perfect coin, that 1 in a billion 1977 D that could change everything. And the truth is, it's still out there. Experts believe several of these error pennies were released unnoticed. They've been spent, traded, dropped, forgotten, and buried in collections for nearly 50 years. Any one of them could be sitting in your home right now. First, grab a magnifying glass or a coin loop. Look closely at the mint mark, the small D beneath the date. On genuine Denver Mint issues, the D should be sharp, but some valuable varieties show signs of doubling or misalignment. This is a huge clue. Next, examine the date itself. Some rare 1977 D pennies show a faint doubling on the sevens, known as a double die obverse. Others have a ghost-like shadow under Lincoln's chin or around his ear, another sign of a die clash or misstrike. Now, the metal composition is key. Regular 1977 D pennies are 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing about 3.11 grams. But rare transitional errors have been found struck on planchets meant for foreign coins or experimental runs, sometimes weighing slightly less, around 2.9 grams. That difference, though small, is a red flag worth thousands of dollars. And here's a secret that most casual collectors miss. Always check the rim. On some of these million-dollar 1977 DS, the rim appears uneven or thicker on one side, caused by misaligned dies. It's subtle, but it's one of the telltale signs that you've found something special. But here's the emotional truth behind all this. Stories like these aren't just about money. They're about hope, about the thrill of discovery, about knowing that something incredible could be hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right person to notice. That's why collectors keep searching year after year, coin after coin. Because somewhere, one man's pocket change could become a millionaire's miracle. One dealer even admitted that after the 1977 D discovery, he started checking every penny customers used at his shop. He said, "I used to think the big finds were over. But now, every time I see a 1977 D, my heart skips a beat." But what happened next reignited the craze even more. Another collector found a strange-looking 1977 D with discoloration near the date. It turned out to be struck on a leftover foreign planchet, an error so rare it was valued at over $120,000. That discovery confirmed what experts had whispered for years. The 1977 D series hides multiple varieties, some still undocumented, still waiting. And here's the best part. You don't need a lab or fancy equipment to start hunting. All you need is curiosity, patience, and a few rolls of pennies. Search for the signs, odd metal color, weight differences, doubling on the date or mint mark, and unusual rims. Every penny you check brings you closer to that life-changing discovery. That rush of disbelief, the shaking hands, the sudden realization that they've just changed their lives with a single coin. And when you hold that kind of treasure in your hand, you understand why people call it the millionaire's penny. But there's something deeper, too. Each of these rare 1977 D pennies is a time capsule, a mistake frozen in copper from nearly 50 years ago, carrying the story of human error, history, and chance. It's a reminder that sometimes life's biggest rewards come from the smallest details. Grab that jar of old pennies. Sort through them. Look for that small D under the date 1977. Look for doubling, color differences, anything out of place. Because every single coin has a story, and one of them might be worth $1 million. The truth is, treasures like this don't announce themselves. They hide quietly, waiting for eyes like yours to see them. The 1977 D. Lincoln penny, humble, simple, and nearly forgotten, has become one of the most shocking discoveries in American coin history. And even now, its legend continues to grow. That's right, the 1979 no mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin so ordinary-looking that millions of people have touched it, tossed it, and spent it without a second thought. Yet one of these little copper coins shocked collectors when it surfaced and sold for up to $1.3 million. The story of this penny begins quietly, like all great treasure stories do. It wasn't born to be rare. In 1979, the Philadelphia Mint produced billions of pennies. Every single one was supposed to be just another cent. But somewhere in that massive production run, something went terribly, or beautifully, wrong. A small batch of these 1979 Lincoln pennies came out without a mint mark. That alone might not sound special. After all, Philadelphia coins often lack one. But here's the twist. One of these pennies had a combination of perfect condition, flawless strike, and an almost mirror-like proof finish that wasn't supposed to exist in circulation. It was an accident. A freak of precision that shouldn't have happened. Years later, a man sorting through his change noticed something odd. The penny gleamed differently under the light. Sharper, deeper, richer. He almost spun it at a vending machine. But curiosity stopped him. He sent it to be graded. What came back changed his life forever. The grading company confirmed it was one of the rarest known 1979 no mint mark Lincoln pennies, in pristine, uncirculated condition. Collectors went wild. Dealers scrambled to make offers. Bidding wars erupted. And when the dust settled, that single penny sold for an unbelievable $1.3 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Other collectors began tearing through old jars, coffee tins, and drawers full of pennies. Everyone wanted to know if lightning could strike twice. People who hadn't looked at their change in decades were suddenly inspecting every coin with a magnifying glass. And here's the truth. Some found similar examples. Not all worth millions, of course, but even the near-perfect ones have fetched thousands. The key lies in the tiniest details most people miss. Look closely at your 1979 penny. First, check the mint mark, or rather, the absence of one. If it's from Philadelphia, there will be no mint mark under the date. But that's just step one. The real value hides in the quality of the strike, the luster, and the surface. Under a light, the valuable ones have a mirror-like shine, especially around Lincoln's profile and the word liberty. The rim is sharp and full, and every letter is crisp, as if carved with a razor blade. These are signs of an early die strike. Coins made when the minting dies were fresh, before we're dulled their perfection. But that's not the only secret. Some of these 1979 no mint mark pennies show faint doubling on the date or the word liberty. It's subtle, but if you catch it, that's where serious money begins. Collectors were stunned when they realized how many of these rare errors slipped past unnoticed. Dealers are still hunting for them, especially in rolls of old pennies that have been sitting untouched for decades. But here's where the story takes an even stranger turn. During the late 1970s, the U.S. Mint was experimenting with changes in coin composition. There were tests, adjustments, even slight variations in copper content. Some of those experimental strikes, believed to have been scrapped, may have accidentally entered circulation. And it's believed that at least one of those test strikes became the very penny that now holds that million-dollar value. Imagine that. A coin meant to be destroyed, accidentally released, ending up in someone's pocket change 30 years later. That's not just luck. That's destiny in copper. But here's the beautiful part. It means opportunity still exists. Even today, experts believe there are more out there. Hidden. Waiting. Start with condition. A worn penny isn't likely to bring big money, but don't dismiss it too fast. Even slightly circulated examples of the rare early strikes can sell for hundreds. The jackpot, though, comes from those near-perfect, uncirculated coins with flawless color and no mint mark. Second, look at the details, the doubling, the sharp edges, the clean lettering, and the shine. Those are your treasure clues. Third, weigh it if you can. Authentic 1979 copper pennies should weigh about 3.11 grams. Anything off might suggest a rare transition or planchet error, and that's another potential gold mine. And remember, sometimes the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and one worth $1 million is something you can only see under magnification. Collectors have described the moment they realized what they had as pure disbelief. One man said, "It felt like winning the lottery, except the ticket was hiding in a jar for 40 years. Another said, "I thought it was a prank until I saw the appraisal." Stories like that are what make coin collecting so thrilling. Because it's not just about money. It's about discovery, history, and the mystery of what might still be hiding in plain sight. Think of it this way. Every coin in your pocket has a story. Some are ordinary, but a few hold secrets that can change your life. This 1979 penny is proof of that. A piece of copper the size of your thumbnail, worth more than most people make in a lifetime. New discoveries keep surfacing. Auction houses still list record-breaking sales. Every few years, another lost coin appears, and collectors hold their breath, wondering if it will break the million-dollar mark again. But it's not just about rarity. It's about timing. The coin market moves like the tide, up and down, and right now, vintage Lincoln pennies are riding a wave of demand like never before. People are realizing these coins aren't just metal. They're history. They're art. They're a piece of America's story, and maybe, just maybe, your story too. The cashier had no idea what he was holding. A 1981 D. Lincoln penny that would later shock the entire coin world by selling for over $1 million. That's right, a single cent that turned into a millionaire's dream. Stay with me, because the truth behind this coin is more unbelievable than fiction. It's a story of a mistake that wasn't supposed to happen, a design that changed American coin history, and a man who almost threw his fortune into a coin-counting machine. Back in 1981, something extraordinary was happening at the Denver Mint. It was the final year before the U.S. Mint switched from pure copper to the cheaper copper-plated zinc coins we use today. The transition was quiet, almost secretive. But during that switch, an extremely rare batch of 1981 D. Lincoln pennies was struck with an error that would change everything. Most people never noticed. These pennies looked normal at first glance, same color, same shine. But under magnification, something astonishing appeared: doubled lettering, unusual minting impressions, and in some cases, a die alignment so off that experts thought it was fake. Collectors couldn't believe it. They called it the Denver Mystery. In the late 1990s, a collector from Colorado, a man who'd been searching coin rolls for decades, found one. He said it looked odd, heavier, thicker, and richer in color. He didn't think much of it until he weighed it. It was slightly heavier than a normal post, 1982 penny. His heart started racing. He took it to a local coin show, and within minutes, every dealer's eyes were locked on it. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. A mint error penny that shouldn't exist. Over $1.4 million. That's not a typo. One man's spare change turned into over $1 million. All because he noticed a tiny detail most people ignore. Collectors were shocked. Word spread like wildfire. Dealers were rushing to find similar 1981 D pennies, hoping lightning might strike twice. But here's the twist. Only a handful are known to exist, and every one of them tells its own mysterious story. Now, let's rewind for a second. The 1981 D. Lincoln penny was minted in Denver, marked by that tiny D under the date. Most were ordinary, billions of them. but a select few were struck using leftover copper planchets meant for earlier years. These planchets contained 95% copper, instead of the newer zinc blend that came later. That's one clue to the fortune. The weight that if you have a 1981 D penny, here's your first test. Place it on a digital scale. If it weighs around 3.11 grams, it could be copper. If it's closer to 2.5 grams, it's the common zinc version. But that's just the beginning, because the second sign is in the details, and this is where most people miss it. Under a magnifying glass, check the words Liberty and In God We Trust. Some of these rare 1981 D pennies show doubling, especially around the letters L and B. That doubling isn't from wear or damage, it's from a true double die error. And those are what make collectors lose sleep at night. But wait until you hear this. One particular coin even showed faint misalignment in Lincoln's bust outline. Experts believe it was struck twice, milliseconds apart, causing a ghost-like shadow behind his profile. That imperfection alone pushed its value into the hundreds of thousands. And then, there's the color. The authentic $1 million 1981 D penny has a deep, rich copper tone, not the dull brown most pennies turn into over time. It's been preserved like a time capsule, sealed in protective holders since discovery. But here's where it gets even more unbelievable. Another collector in 2014 claimed he found a similar 1981 D penny while cleaning out his father's coin jar. He nearly gave it to his nephew to spend on candy. Instead, curiosity got the better of him, and he took it to a local coin shop. The dealer froze. After testing and grading, that coin was valued at over $800,000 and later confirmed to be struck on a leftover 95% copper planchet. Think about that. A coin that almost bought a candy bar ended up being worth nearly $1 million. The emotional roller coaster didn't stop there. Auctions began to feature these pennies as ghosts of the Copper Age. Collectors described them as relics from the final breath of an era, when pennies still had real metal, real craftsmanship, and real value. Experts say yes. They believe several of these era coins slipped into circulation unnoticed. Some might be sitting in old coffee tins, coin jars, or even taped to kids' school projects from the 80s. And that's where things get exciting, because this treasure might literally be hiding in your home. Picture this. You dump out your old change on the table one night. There's dust, nickels, and a handful of pennies. You pick one up, it's a 1981 D. You feel the weight. You notice the deep copper shine, and suddenly, your heart skips. That could be it. The $1 million miracle sitting right in your hand. But before you rush off to sell, listen closely. You have to know how to identify it correctly. Many fakes and altered coins exist, and scammers try to fool collectors with plated zinc pennies or machine doubling. The real 1981 D $1 million penny will always weigh 3.11 grams, be magnetic to copper's warmth, not steel, show true doubling, not distortion, have the D mint mark perfectly placed below the date. Maintain a clean, strong strike without flattening or heavy where even minor scratches can lower its value dramatically. So handle it with care. Gloves, not fingers. And if you think you found one, send it for grading. The top certification companies, PCGS or NGC, can confirm authenticity and grade. That grade is everything. A high-grade coin like MS-67 or MS-68 is what transforms a $10 curiosity into a $1 million masterpiece. Collectors who find these coins often describe the moment as surreal, a mix of disbelief and euphoria. One man said he stared at his penny for hours, thinking, how could something so small hold so much history and so much money? The 1981 D penny isn't just a coin. It's a time capsule, the last breath of America's true Copper Age. It's proof that even the smallest things, overlooked and forgotten, can hold life-changing value. But instead, it turned one man into a millionaire overnight. The 1984 D Lincoln penny, a coin that looks so ordinary, most people would never give it a second glance. But behind its copper shine lies a story of a rare minting mistake, a shocking discovery, and a value that could climb as high as $1.5 million. It all began in the early 1980s, a time when the Denver Mint was running its presses nonstop to produce billions of Lincoln cents. But in 1984, something went wrong. Deep in the machinery, a die used to strike the pennies developed a subtle but powerful flaw, one that created one of the most elusive error coins in U.S. history. And for decades, it went unnoticed. Collectors didn't even realize what they were looking at. Most people spent these pennies without a second thought. But one man in Colorado did something different. While sorting through change for fun, he noticed something strange. Lincoln's ear looked doubled. Not scratched, not worn, doubled. That tiny detail would send shockwaves through the coin world. But what happened next stunned everyone. Word spread fast that a Denver-minted 1984 penny had an extra ear, a doubling so clear it was visible without magnification. Collectors couldn't believe it. Dealers rushed to verify it. And when they did, the truth hit hard. This was no ordinary penny. It was a double die obverse, a rare minting error created when the die shifted ever so slightly during production, leaving behind a ghost image of Lincoln's ear. The story took on a life of its own. Coin shows buzzed with rumors. People lined up at shops with handfuls of pennies, hoping lightning would strike. And it did, again and again. A few lucky collectors found the doubled ear penny in circulation. Some sold for hundreds, then thousands. But as time passed and pristine examples disappeared into private collections, their value skyrocketed. One high-grade 1984 D doubled ear penny stunned the market when it hit an auction block. The bidding started small, but it didn't stay that way for long. Collectors and investors battled over it like it was a piece of buried treasure. By the end of the night, that 1-cent coin had sold for a price that left everyone speechless, over $1 million. And experts believe the next perfect specimen could bring as much as $1.5 million. Think about that for a second. A single penny that once jingled in someone's pocket is now worth more than a house, more than most people's life savings. It's the kind of story that makes you check your change twice, maybe even 3 times. Because it's not luck alone. It's knowledge, timing, and the eye for what others overlook. But here's where the mystery deepens. The 1984 D doubled ear penny is not just valuable because of its rarity. It's valuable because of how easily it hides in plain sight. To the untrained eye, it looks like any other coin. It's the kind of penny you could have sitting in a jar, a drawer, or an old coffee can right now. The doubling on Lincoln's ear isn't dramatic. It's subtle, almost whispering from the copper. But once you see it, you'll never unsee it. Look closely at Lincoln's profile. Right above his ear, you'll notice what appears to be a second outline, almost like a faint shadow. That's the telltale sign. If your penny has that extra ear, you could be holding something extraordinary. And yet, that's not the only clue. Many counterfeiters have tried to fake the doubling, carving, or pressing marks onto ordinary pennies. But real experts know the difference. On a genuine 1984 D doubled ear penny, the doubling is crisp, smooth, and perfectly aligned with the original design. No scratches, no distortion, just 2 perfect ears, side by side, frozen in copper for all eternity. But there's more. Some of these pennies show minor die wear, faint cracks, or soft edges on the lettering, all signs of a true minting error. It's those imperfections that make perfection in the coin world. Every authentic one tells a story of a machine pushed to its limits, of human oversight, of history captured in metal. Collectors say finding one feels electric, a pulse of excitement, a moment of disbelief. One man in Texas said he found his doubled ear penny while emptying a soda machine at work. He thought it was just another coin until the light hit it just right. When he confirmed it under magnification, he said it felt like winning the lottery. But what happened next stunned the coin world again. Experts began to re-examine other 1984 Denver pennies and realized that only a tiny fraction showed the doubling. Out of billions minted, only a handful were perfect. The odds of finding one are microscopic, but not impossible. And that's what keeps collectors searching year after year. Imagine finding one in your change today. Imagine walking into a coin shop, laying it on the counter, and watching the dealer's eyes widen in disbelief. That's not fantasy. It's happened before. And it could happen again. The condition of the coin can make or break its value. A circulated one, worn from years of use, might fetch hundreds or even thousands. But an uncirculated example, gleaming, untouched, flawless, could break records. That's the dream every collector chases. Experts say the best way to check yours is under a simple magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. Focus on Lincoln's ear, his chin, and the surrounding details. Compare it to online images of verified 1984 D-double-ear pennies. If yours matches, you could be sitting on a fortune. Don't throw it away just yet. Even normal 1984 D pennies in perfect condition are gaining value, especially in high mint states. Graded examples with a mirror-like finish can sell for surprising amounts, sometimes hundreds of dollars. To collectors building registry sets, the coin market is unpredictable, but one truth remains. The rarest treasures often hide in the most ordinary places. Every drawer, every jar, every box of old change has the potential to hold history. You just have to look, and the 1984 D Lincoln penny is proof. It reminds us that small things can hold massive value, that a simple piece of copper can carry a story worth more than gold. Collectors call it the coin that changed the game. A reminder that rarity isn't always loud or obvious. Sometimes it's quiet, waiting, watching, hiding in plain sight. So the next time you pick up a penny, don't dismiss it. Don't toss it aside. Because one day, you might be holding that same 1984 D-double-ear penny that turns your ordinary day into a life-changing discovery. This isn't just about money. It's about history, mystery, and the thrill of the hunt. The kind that keeps collectors awake at night, scanning every detail, chasing that impossible dream.